Well, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Florida Panthers face off in the Eastern Conference Finals. These are two teams that had a completely different regular season. Carolina was pretty dominant through most of their season. While they had a little bit of a rough stretch towards the end of the season, they had a good regular season compared to the Florida Panthers, who just squeaked into a wild card spot. So how do these teams match up and who will win? Let's start out with the Carolina Hurricanes. They have two people tied at 10 to lead the team in points: Sebastian and Jordan Martinook. Aho had 5 goals, 5 assists. Martinook had 3 goals and 7 assists, both for 10 points. But when you look up and down this lineup, it isn't that one player is carrying them. They have a lot of depth scoring. Jordan Staal, Jesper Fast, and Seth Jarvis have 8 points. Kokaniemi, Stefan Noesen, and Martin necas also have 6. The beauty of this roster, their lines 1 through 3 can all produce, and that makes them a difficult team to defend against, because when your top 3 lines are scoring, you can't just fixate on one player. And on the defensive side of things, Jacob Slavin is one of the best D-men in the league. 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points, but he's a plus 14 in the playoffs. When you match up against him, you are going to have a difficult time getting around him. And Brett Burns is also not to be outdone. 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. For a guy that's 38 years old, he's playing like he's in his late 20s. He's been pretty damn good throughout this postseason. Their 6 D-men are overall pretty solid. There has been moments throughout both series where they're not perfect, but overall they've been pretty steady. Their goaltending's been interesting as well, because in 6 games played, Frederik Andersen has a 1.80 goals against average, a .931 save percentage, and a 5-0 record. Since coming in, he's been spectacular. But they do have a steady backup at Antti Raanta. 5 games played, 2.59 goals against average, and a .907 save percentage for a 3-2 record. And if anything ever happened, and I know I'll probably get roasted for the pronunciation of his name, but Vitor Kochetkov has the capability to be a solid goaltender as well. This is also not even including the fact that Teravainen is going to be healthy and might be back for game 1. That would be a huge boost to these Carolina Hurricanes. Their forwards have produced pretty well, but if you could add Teravainen to the 3rd line, this Carolina team just gets that much deeper. What impresses me about the Hurricane system is their team defense. It isn't just up to 1 or 2 players. Everyone back checks. Everyone's good on the forecheck. Their neutral zone transition is a thing to watch. They make life difficult on their opposition, and that is extremely apparent when you saw the New Jersey Devils play so good against the Rangers, and then when they played the Hurricanes, it was a completely different monster, and the Devils just couldn't get anything going. So as a hockey fan, I really got to admire the style in which they play. Now let's get into the Florida Panthers. This is a Cinderella story. Just getting into the wild card spot, Alex Lyon had a terrific end to the regular season. He starts out that series in Boston. Bobrovsky gets put in net. And since Bobrovsky has been put in, he has been amazing. And let's go into the forward group. You have Barkov, Verhaeghe, and Duclair leading the charge up front, but let's all be real. Matthew Tkachuk is the main guy on this roster. 5 goals, 11 assists for 16 points to lead the Florida Panthers in scoring. Second in scoring would be Verhaeghe with 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. Just like the Hurricanes, they have a lot of guys with 6+ points. Barkov with 9, Duclair with 6, Cousins with 6, Bennett with 8, Lundell with 7 points, Reinhart with 8. List around and just missing the cut at 5. The Panthers offense is just as deep as Carolina, and if I'm going to say the top end talent, they have the edge here. Because Matthew Tkachuk is a superstar and can take over games, and how he can be so dominant down low in the offensive zone and just take control is a thing to watch. So the Panthers offense is pretty deep, and they have a great superstar with Tkachuk. Let's get into the defense. Offensively leading the way would be Brandon Montour. 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points. Watching the Panthers and seeing how he gets involved with the offense is just a thing of beauty. Now, Carolina's defensemen also get involved in the offense as well, but this guy looks like a natural born forward when he does get involved. He's a lot of fun to watch. Him having 6 goals is just remarkable, and he has a cannon of a shot on the back end. But it's not just offensively where these Panthers defensemen shine, it's defensively as well. Forsling, Ekblad, and Staal are a load to play against. Mahura, while he isn't blowing the doors down with his time on ice, does his job effectively enough. But an underrated guy on this decor would be Radko Gudas. 3 points in 12 games played, averaging over 17 minutes time on ice. Gudas is a load to play against. He plays a physical game, hard to knock off the puck, And if you're in front of the Panthers net, you are gonna be feeling it for the next few days. He's got more of an old school mentality, willing to get in the mix and make the opposition pay. His defense for the Panthers is one of the main reasons why they have gone so deep. And let's get into the goaltending. I'll start out with the backup, Alex Line. He's got to get his flowers. 3 games played, 3.27 goals against average, a .902 save percentage, and a 1-2 record. Not blowing the doors down of that number, but watching Line play against the Bruins, he played really well and made some spectacular saves. But the main reason they're here, their $10 million man, Sergei Bobrovsky, in 10 games played, a 2.82 goals against average, a .918 save percentage, and a 7-3 record. Bobrovsky's been lights out, man. Ever since coming in from that Boston series, he has been on a completely different level. He's looking like Vezina version Bob. That game 5 in Toronto, with how many shots he faced, and even after letting up a weak second goal, just kept the Panthers in it by making good save after good save. It's very impressive for a guy that had a sub 900 save percentage in the regular season to bounce back and look like a Vezina candidate. Just shows the mental toughness this guy has. If the Florida Panthers managed to win a cup, the stigma regarding Bobrovsky not being a playoff goalie would instantly go away because this guy has been dynamite in the postseason. So I talked about each team individually. What do I expect out of this series? I expect a physical, defensive series with probably some games that have a couple goals each. Both teams play good on the defensive end. I would say the Carolina Hurricanes are a bit better defensively. I would give the edge offensively to the Florida Panthers, but both teams play a different style of defense. I'm curious to see how the Hurricanes can hold up to the Florida Panther forecheck because it's really heavy, and it would not give Hurricanes much time to break out of their own end. And as for the goaltending, it's hard for me to pick. If I was just going to go on statistics alone, I would probably go with Frederik Andersen. He's got a .931 save percentage, but I would argue the level of difficulty of some of the shots that Bobrovsky faced have been far greater, so I'll give the slight edge to the Florida Panthers. So what is my prediction in this 7-game series? Who is going to win? This is going to be a very long and hard-fought series. This is easily going to go 7, and in 7 games, I'm going to give the edge to the Florida Panthers. They have beaten some of the best teams in the Atlantic. They have shown their resilience, and it's hard for me to go against this magical run. That's not to knock these Carolina Hurricanes. They have played beautifully themselves, but I think the Panthers might just be a little bit too much for these Hurricanes. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts down below. Who do you think will win? I'm Captain Paul, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's a series winner for Nick Cousins.